And then what's the alternative? Who's out there? Who are you going to hire that's better than Mike McCarthy at this point in the game?
Pep Hamilton?
Definitely.
Well,
great candidate.
he might be spoken for.
What do you mean?
New England hired him.
What? New England hired him?
Oh, excuse me. I'm just saying there's a good chance they do hire him. We don't know. Everyone's, making shit about it, saying, hey, they bring in Byron Leftwich. They bring in Pep Hamilton. They're just checking boxes for the Rooney Rule. Do we know Pep Hamilton's not going to get hired tomorrow?
Well,
Yes.
I'm pretty certain Pep Hamilton's not going to get hired because of something that I saw. He did a top 5 under 25 quarterbacks, and there's a lot of great names on there. None of them are Drake May, but Drake May's backup, Joe Milton, who we saw
Boys player.
in week 18 was an absolute dog. So I know Pep. We know Pep because he was with the Indianapolis Colts, obviously out of Stanford. He comes over to the Colts with Andrew Luck. I love Pep Hamilton. I enjoy Pep Hamilton. I think he was with the DC United.
DC Defenders.
Okay.
Good squad.
Great squad. Beer snakes.
Yeah,
Best
exactly.
offense in the league.
Exactly.
Beer snakes over there. They used to fill that place up. I like Pep. Then them interviewing Byron Leftwich. Remember, he was hot to trot coming out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was going to be a head coach somewhere. Very quickly, that kind of cooled off. He's getting interviews up there with Robert Kraft. Now people are saying, oh, Kraft's making a mockery out of the Rooney Rule. Boston Connor, Patriots fan. How do you feel about all the names that they're interviewing? It feels like they're casting a much wider net than anybody would have thought.
Yeah, I love it. Offensive guys, dudes who could come in and work with Drake May. I mean, granted, or Joe Milton, if you're Pep Hamilton in this case. And maybe, Pep's list has changed after seeing what Drake May can do. But, I mean, I think this is just kind of part of what they have to do, and that's a great list. No Jaden Daniels or Bo Mix, but still a great list. But
Trevor Lawrence and Joe Milton above Drake May.
Yeah.
Before the season?
Someone photoshopped this thing. There's no way.
I believe it was before the season. And I
Did he
think
get a chance to see Drake May?
Yeah,
I don't think it was before. I think it was before the season, rather, just because the reactions in the room. It looks like the other two dudes do not agree per se. But when it comes to
the hands up.
Ain't got nothing to do with this shit.
No, not me.
This is this guy. This guy was the head coach of DC
Defenders.
United.
Yeah.
DC Defenders over there. This is on him. He's been around a long. What's your problem, AQ? What is your problem?
I think Pep commented on this after the game, and he was like, pumped. I got to see my guy Joe Milton.
Just like I said.
I'm pretty sure this was retweeted.
So obviously, getting an interview is a big deal for a head coaching job.
Yeah.
But it has been assumed for almost a couple weeks now that if Gerard Mayo gets fired, Mike Vrabel's going to be the head coach. Vrabel's getting a head coach interview on Thursday is what's being reported, I believe, by Rap Sheet reported that. So what are your expectations on how this whole thing goes?
My expectation is that Mike Vrabel announced as the head coach of the New England Patriots.
This guy didn't even give Pep and Byron Leftwich a shot.
No, and
That's a part of the problem.
I did.
We know. I think we all know it's going to be Mike Vrabel, and unfortunately, this is the song and dance they have to do. This is a part of Rooney Rule. Now, the Rooney Rule, in theory, and shout out to the Rooney. Shout out, we got a bunch of Steelers fans. And shout out to Rooney. It was definitely needed to get black coaches more opportunities, more real opportunities, more, and to get even to the interview process where you have a chance to get hired. So, in theory, or as Green would say, maybe in a vacuum, that was a good idea.
Okay.
But outside of it, the Patriots, they probably have their candidate they want. They know they have to hire, but they have to go through this process. And I'm sure this happens at other places as well. And maybe somebody does blow their socks off during the interview process. But like
maybe they do in a vacuum.
Alluded to it.
Like a vacuum.
And these are, good coaches. Like you mentioned, we spent time with Pep. Pep has been around for a long time. Byron Leftwich, I haven't spent time with him, in the building as a coach. I think AQ did, so I can't really speak on him, on Byron. But, it is kind of.
What else was the other? They did like a happy hour. Remember they were doing happy hours down at the owners meeting?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they say a lot of these owners hire people that they know or people that are in the building know.
Yes.
And they maybe don't have friendships or relationships
Correct.
outside of their race, which was a real conversation that was taking place, which I think happens in the real world too. And nobody really wants to bring it up. Everybody wants to be unified, but not a lot of people have this to learn about everything. So I think that was happening with the NFL and ownership. So they're having like these happy hours and cocktail hours down at the meetings. They instituted the Rooney Rule. I think there was a real effort. But now whenever something like this happens and everybody knows.
Yeah, you're going to make a mockery of it. And
Bingo,
that's just what it is. And that's the biggest part of it. People, and that, like you mentioned, it happens in business. It happens in any Fortune 500 companies. Like you tend to hire people you're more comfortable with in your circle. You'll have a beer with. I had a GM tell me years ago that that's basically what it comes down to. Who's the guy you'd rather have a beer with if all things are equal?
Well, a real American beer?
I haven't tried. I don't think I'll try. I don't think I'll
You
try.
won't?
I won't. I am still playing the game. I put the Hawks through about 7 tables last night. but yeah, it does come down to that.
Who you were playing as
Me,
you?
of course. I only play as me. You kidding me?
As you should.
Yeah, as I've said, WWE 2K24, now 2K25 coming out.
Maybe.
With,
Hopefully.
hopefully. What are we talking about?
I don't know if that was ever official. There was just like a lot of alluding to.
On the cover.
But yeah.
January 27th.
Okay. But that's what it
Paul
comes
Heyman
down
said
to.
it 3 times. January the 27th. The 27th of January. And then closes the door, 2K25 up there, and everybody goes, whoa! So if our tribal chief is up there, I think that's going to be an exciting time.
Vrabel in New England makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, I think everybody kind of thinks that's where that's going. It
Wow.
certainly makes a lot of sense there.
What's that all
And then the guys,
We don't
What's
know
he-
that.
the guys
Don't
from
make sense.
We don't know
Detroit.
that. We don't know if that's
We don't know
true.
that.
But sense would say it does make it.
Well, no, well, depending upon which sense you are viewing it from. Are you talking about sense as in CENTS? Because I think Patriot fans say we'll pay more money if old Vrabes come, but sense might be, let's get Pep Hamilton around this young quarterback.
Yeah.
Let's let Byron Leftwich work with this young quarterback a little bit.
But sense would also say that Pep Hamilton, if he loves Joe Milton so much, he might not be the right, choice because this is Drake May's football team.
You don't think Pep Hamilton will fall in love with Drake May? What do you say?
I just think
What-
if
what-
Pep Hamilton's coming in with a Joe Milton mindset, we might need a more open-minded head coach. If he's already thinking, hey, Joe Milton's my quarterback. Hey, man, Drake May's our quarterback. But how do you feel about that, JJ, as far as the Rooney Rule goes? Because obviously, as a Patriots fan, it's felt like Vrabel the whole way. From the front office, it's felt like Vrabel. With Kraft, it feels like Vrabel. But then with the Rooney Rule, people are kind of bashing the Patriots as just kind of making it a big old joke because they interviewed both Byron and Pep yesterday. Do you think it is a big old joke, for one? And two, if you have a guy in your mind that you think should be your head coach, can you really blame the Patriots for doing something like this? Because now, because they did this yesterday, they could, in theory, hire Vrabel tomorrow when he gets to New England for his interview.
I think that a lot of these teams doing their interviews have a very short list in their head, 2 or 3 guys that they actually think that they might hire. And some of these teams are interviewing 10, 15 guys and taking a whole lot of time and effort and energy to go through this whole process when not many of them are serious. Now, are some of them doing it for the Rooney Rule? I'm sure there's probably are some for that because you have to go through that process. I think there's a lot of reasons that people are interviewing coaches, whether it's some GMs or owners or have the same agent or have some reasons why it's good if a guy gets a head coaching interview, his name gets out there as a potential future head coach, even if there's zero intention of hiring him at this moment. Some guys are getting reps at interviews for future years and all sorts of things. So there's many different reasons why guys get interviewed, and a lot of times, in my personal opinion, there's a pretty short list of who's actually doing a real interview and who's doing an exercise.
The Jets are interviewing 45 people, as are the Chicago Bears. The more information, the more intel, the better, I guess, but also too much information maybe gets lost in the clutter.